Hi, I'm Christy. I want to talk to you today about the first steps to receiving a diagnosis. One of the things that can happen before you get it is you find that there's this process that you have to go through. And it's really kind of paradoxical. On the one hand, it's really difficult because there's so many steps. And like I talked about in the last video, there's so many steps and there's waiting and there's things to fight through. And so it can be really difficult. But it can also be freeing because you're looking at it and going, but if this is it, then it explains so many things and you have answers, and it's just really kind of a weird situation there. But a lot of times families will find that when you receive a diagnosis, it is freeing because you no longer have to chalk it up to, oh, that's just their personality, or it's because of their injury, or they're just quirky or whatever. But it also helps to provide the best chance for better results. And so you finally have concrete reasons and ways that you can get help for your loved ones. Sometimes this process is relatively simple. My oldest son was born early. So he's a micropreemie, meaning he was born before 26 weeks gestation. And so that's an easy diagnosis. We knew it from day one because he was born so early. Boom, done. We were given an apraxia of speech diagnosis when he was in preschool or maybe kindergarten-ish. And that one was pretty easy. It explained why he was having trouble learning to talk, and it just answered a lot of questions for us. The hardest diagnosis that we've received for him, for me personally, was when we received a cerebral palsy diagnosis. It was 2 weeks before he was 4 years old. And I think we really got it to play the insurance game, which I don't have a problem with. On the one hand, I was like, yes, we have something that proves he will never totally be normal and he will always have issues. And so it was a relief, and it was something that I knew we could tell to doctors and we could tell to therapists and insurance companies and say, here, he's got this. On the other hand, my mama heart was broken because my dream of him catching up eventually, whenever eventually would happen, was shattered because he would never be completely normal. But the thing that I've found is that a diagnosis only explains where the person is today or what condition they have. It helps me to understand my loved one better. It helps me get answers and help for him. It helps me know how to help him reach his fullest potential, but it doesn't change who he is at all. He is capable of doing what he is capable of doing with or without the diagnosis. He is who he is with or without the diagnosis. So if you see an issue, I recommend that you try and find answers. Ask questions. Ask until the answers make sense. I've talked to many people who have said, you know, we had this and they said it was this and they said it was this, but it just didn't seem right. And they kept looking for answers and kept looking for answers. And when they finally got the right diagnosis, it was like all the pieces fit together. Oh, okay, well, this explains this and this and this and this, and it just makes sense. And once you have that diagnosis, then you can figure out how to proceed and how to adjust with life. So continue to seek that input that you need until the answers make sense. Don't take no for an answer. I have one friend who had to go clear across the country to a different hospital, to a different set of doctors to finally get answers for her loved one. And when she did, again, all the pieces fit into place. So if I were seeing something new in my son or in a friend, the process that I would follow would look something like this. Make note of the struggles. Figure out what issues you're dealing with and what it looks like and what kind of problems they're having. Be open to other people's observations. Sometimes others can see things that we don't see because we become blind to it. Either we don't want to admit it, or it's just so normal to us that we don't even think about it. Again, ask questions. You know, the questions are how we find answers. Talk to medical professionals, share your concerns with them, see what they have to say, take what they have to say, and ask more questions. Be persistent. Sometimes that's the hardest one because you look at these doctors and you're like, well, they're doctors. They should know what they're talking about. This is what they said. I don't agree, but, you know, sometimes we have to go to a second or a third opinion. Be open to hear what you don't want to hear. And that's hard. You get this thing in your mind and you're thinking, well, but this is what it is, or this is what it is, or I don't want to admit that my loved one is this way. But if we're going to help them the best that we can, we have to be open to what the answers truly are and what the honest answer is. Again, I would say don't take no for an answer. Push until things make sense. And probably above all, love unconditionally. Again, they haven't changed just because they've gotten a diagnosis. They are who they are. Receiving a diagnosis can be hard sometimes. Sometimes your worst fears are confirmed. Sometimes it's freeing because, like I've said before, you finally have answers. It helps you understand things better, and you can make a plan to proceed. Sometimes, we're tempted to go to Google and Google whatever we think it might be or the diagnosis we've just received. And that can be great for finding answers and for helping us form a plan. But sometimes it can be overwhelming too, because you get too much information and you don't have time to process it, or you don't know how to process it. So I'd also encourage you to maintain perspective. But most importantly, I want you to know once again that you are not alone. Others have been there, others will be there after you. And I hope that we can come around each other and encourage each other and provide insights and the love and encouragement that we need, so that you can turn around and help others in the future as they are reaching out for help and as they're going through the process. And as we all go through this process and as we can encourage each other, I hope that you can agree with me and say that life is good and there is never a dull moment.